Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Game Hub. I'm your host, Gamer K. We are in the month of June. It's summer, summer, summer. And with that comes a bunch of new videos. Starting next week, my local Greek Fest, Carousel of Nations, will be starting on the weekends. So I gotta wear I'm not yelling. I'm Greek. This is how we talk. How we talk? Yeah, this is how we talk. Ah, God. So it's really good to be back full of energy. My allergies are finally not fucking me over. So now I get to do my videos in full energy with full enthusiasm. And before I begin, it's time for more Power Rangers from Super Sentai. And yes, I know, Power Rangers is technically officially done unless they get smart and bring it back with all the Sentai that weren't done and do them better. Then, yeah, I still need to finish Dino Fury and Cosmic Fury. But now we are going into a regal series of Ohsama Sentai Kingohger, which, after Dawn Brothers was supposed to be the end of Super Sentai years ago, I'm happy that it wasn't. And this series kind of gave me a little bit of a pause. I mean, kings, insects, there's a bit of betrayal, a lot of backstory going on with a lot of Sentais are like that. But this one it was freaking fantastic. Although a majority of the season started kind of going back and forth on a lot of stupid shit, which bugged me. There was like a couple months time jump for some reason, which I didn't really care for. Near the end of the season, they started doing like the stupid shit that would usually be done like mid-season to early season, not like near the end with the final baddies, which some of them were like, again, really, really bad. But nonetheless, Kingohger definitely delivered on being really dark at times and really interesting. So trying to come up with a Power Rangers for that, you guys have to give me so much leeway with this season because it is not easy. Especially since I've done this for all the other Sentais that were not Power Rangers. And technically two that did become Power Rangers, aka Ryu Soldier and Cosmic and Q Ranger, that went way differently and kind of piggybacked off each other. But I think I came up with something that hopefully doesn't get laughed at by the Power Rangers or the Sentai community. And if it does, hey, it was a weird one to adapt, guys. Give me a lot of leeway, please. Starting off with the name, I'm sick and tired of hearing Fury being used. So, because the theme of this is kind of regal royalty, kings with insect zords, I try not to take so much ideas from Beetleborgs or Kamen Rider Kabuto, because there was a lot of ideas I could have taken. But I decided to go for Power Rangers Insector Squad. Yes, I took inspiration from the Insectors, which, again, are technically based off of Kamen Rider Kabuto. Hey, you try to come up with an insect-themed name that isn't absolutely stupid. Yeah, it was difficult, okay? So instead of taking place in a parallel version of Earth, we're back to being in Earth. And no more intergalactic. because we've done that with Ninja Steel, we did that with Cosmic Fury and Dino Fury. So I've had it with interterrestrials for now. Staying back on Earth, I say we have another ancient threat sealed away long ago by a bunch of... Man, I can't really come up with this. This is kind of... Yeah, I have ancient evil sealed away again. So yeah, kind of like what Daishi and the Master was in Mystic Force. Somewhat on the same level, but or again something like, what about like the demons that we had in Lightspeed Rescue, where it is a slumbered villain that's still been conscious throughout all these many years, but its evil essence has been leaking into the world, creating its own minions and soldiers for the moment where it rises again. Something like that. Because this season had two sets of different villains. One being the giant Ragnarok, who was the army of this insectoid monster's army, hell-bent on destroying the kingdoms of Shugodom. So it could be the same thing, having these insect warriors being created and them worshiping the ancient deity, believing it will lead them into power and prestige amongst the human race. And obviously, someone has to be watching an evil entity, pass down the knowledge and the information. Obviously, they can't have it broadcasted or else everybody would go panic or people wouldn't believe everyone. So, somewhat like Lightspeed Rescue and Jungle Fury, they have a bunch of protectors ready and willing. But as the years go on, some of them, people die, people decide to move on and think it's all a hoax, until the last member of the group is given the responsibility of finding the future protectors. And I kind of miss this kind of trope because we don't get it that much in Power Rangers. Them actually seeking them out and more just be kind of a random situation. And the one responsible for this will be the Blue Ranger. The Blue Ranger is the last descendant who feels kind of not exactly... Now, in the Sentai, he is the tech genius of his own kingdom, and I love this guy's style. I do love the Blue Ranger nerd aspect trope, but dial it back more where he's not an absolute super genius, but he's more of an engineer kind of guy, so he could using the powers that were passed down to create the Zords and the equipment. And to find each Ranger member, he does find them through traditional means, as the Yellow Ranger, Black Ranger, and Violet Ranger I've found kind of somewhat later on, like in the show. The leader, Red, however, is a little bit more difficult to find. So Blue Ranger constructs their headquarters, because I really like how the Ranger's base of operations is a hidden in plain sight place, like Jungle Karma Pizza or Haley Cyberspace, the Dino Cafe at the museum. I miss those tropes because it's so fun. So this one maybe in a place where a bunch of people can hang out, where it's not too inconspicuous. Like, he's a little bit older. Like, most of the Rangers are going to be teenagers, or more so in teenager, of older than a teenager. Like, almost out of I'd say around college years a little bit. Whereas Red Ranger will be just going into becoming a teenager. Something like that to kind of offset the big balance of the different age groups between Rangers. Giving some of the episodes where they kind of have a clash of personalities, giving a little bit more a realism a little bit, because a bunch of young adults and a young preteen definitely creates a little bit more drama and causality to the situations. So yeah, Blue is the dragonfly, which is, again, I really love, and he uses like the blade mode and the blaster mode of his own his weapons. Red is the Kingohger beetle, and I do love the genius use of the different types of insects. I mean, yeah, there's somewhat the small ones like the ant and the ladybugs that kind of build into the Megazord itself, but not fully a big-ass Zord. But the Kingohger is the leader, Red. And for that one, as was foretold to Blue and his previous members, is that on a certain day, the Red Ranger will show himself in a very obscure way right before the time to attack of the villain of the ancient evil is nigh. So in order to find the Red Ranger, the Blue Ranger concocted a sort of game to kind of see if who is truly ready. And I know it's a fucking cliche, but to have the Red Rangers morpher, which they will be like the giant ass swords stuck in a stone at the hangout area, as kind of a little game, and it's one of those things where if you are able to pull the sword out, you win a grand prize. And obviously, after so many years, people have tried, but no one is able to, because they have to be the actual person who the sword chooses. I'm taking a lot of inspiration from a bunch of different ideas here, because I had to go with what I can work with. And obviously there will be this one guy who seems absolutely perfect for the job. And as all four of the Rangers are there after Blue has recruited them already, but not necessarily gathered them all together, because they still need the Red in order to complete the Megazord, to complete their team. So basically, I mean, yeah, they can morph, but they need the Red Ranger to access the full extent of their powers. Kind of like how Time Force, they needed Alex's DNA from Wes in order to unlock the main morpher. Something like that, so it's not like the Rangers have been around for so long and fighting the monsters all this time. They've been fighting off like the small minions, and I'll get to the monsters and the villains in a bit. But I'm going for, like, story-wise in the majority of the Rangers. So, on the big day, this somewhat perfect candidate, strong, intelligent, and definitely feels like he would fit in with the group. He tries to pull the sword out for the prize, but nothing. And that's when our Red Ranger hero kind of acts like a cocky kid, kind of saying, like, it's not that difficult. And so, obviously, the obvious choice kind of like Jared shows his true colors and acts like a jerk, saying, kind of egging the kid on, saying, it's so easy, you try it then, like, kind of becoming the bully, and all the other Rangers are watching this, like, kind of seeing, okay, maybe he wasn't the perfect candidate. So, and right before they're about to do it, an earthquake happens and the great evil arises as a giant castle comes rising out of the earth and it vanishes. So basically it's one of those aspects where the castle rises, but then they teleport it to somewhere else where the humans can't fully see it. And, city's on red alert. And then the minion monsters come out with one of the first monsters out in order to attack the city, proclaiming that the insectoids are taking over. Yeah, the insectoids. You try to come up with a bunch of insect boss monsters. Although I do find it weird that a bunch of TV shows do go the insect route for monsters. Yeah. So, the minion monsters start attacking the hideout area. All the innocent lives are in danger. Some of the Rangers get them out. And while the kid is trying to fight them off, he falls over, accidentally grabs the handle of the sword and tries to punch one of the monsters and pulls out the sword with its blade glowing red and slashes the minion, to the surprise of two members of the Rangers, Yellow and Blue, seeing that the kid pulled it out. To their shock and awe, and the shock and awe of the jackass laying on the floor earlier, seeing that the kid actually pulled out the sword. And almost by accident flips the switch that because the sword itself has the 5 insects on it in certain areas. Kingohger, dragonfly, mantis, butterfly, and hornet. But each one has to pull their own respective one in order to turn into that form. Although they do their own first, and then they hit all the rest of the 4 for some reason. But this one, they'll just hit theirs. And turns into the Red Ranger. And the outfits of Kingohger are armored. They're fully armored. Like, it's not the skin-tight clothing. It's none of that. It's actual armor suits. And it looks amazing. Oh my... I was so happy when this season came out. Oh my God, they look amazing. And even the visors of the helmets look great. So after the first monster is obviously defeated very easily, no Megazord needed, Blue and Yellow basically take Red to the inner sanctum of the hideout and explain the situation. And the kid, thinking this is something out of a TV show or something, like, yeah. Until a certain in the original Sentai, one of the insect monsters is kind of a quiet one and a non-violent creature, and it becomes the assistant to the White Ranger later on. So I figured having this insect be the good guy, like the one who escaped from the evil many years ago, and decided once it leached out of the evil source, it decided that it liked humanity and knew about what was going to happen and didn't want it to destroy the world. So it contacted the organization responsible for defending the Earth. And yes, even though it's a monster, it showed that it actually wanted to help stop it. Because it's an eternal creature until it's destroyed, it would basically be the proof that the Rangers would need that the actual threat is real. So it's basically like the not so great mentor, but the assistant to helping the Rangers develop more ideas, understanding the monsters that come out, all their powers, their weaknesses, or the generals themselves. Going into the other Rangers now, Yellow, being the Kamakiri or the mantis, was a medical prodigy queen, and King Rena, she is so gorgeous. Having her, I love having like a mix between certain stereotypes of characters, but to have Yellow be the feminine, girly girl character again feels like a washout again. I say we have her be kind of a mix between the femme tomboy kind of aspect, but also have her being kind of more of a street rough, like being able to do being a break dancer and all, having that kind of aesthetic to her. So she's rough around the edges, but she still has the feminine side, because I hate it when they do the trope of episodes when they take the tomboy, make her feminine, or vice versa, like they did with Kira in Dino Thunder. As cool as it was, I don't like those tropes. So having her be very skilled, and also it kind of works with these special powers that unlock later on in the series that they waited way too fucking long in the original Sentai to boost out those special effect powers. I'll get to that later. Having the Black Ranger, who is the Wasp or Bee, but I decide Wasp would be a better than Hornet Zord. So Wasp would be the better choice. Because he's more of the brute force kind of of character in the original, and also the biggest deceiver and liar in Sentai history, for the most part. I say having him be a martial arts expert, but also kind of a gentle giant. Like, he showcases his skills and he's strong, but he's more of a sweetheart than actually a rough and tough kind of guy. And he'll mostly only be the strong, the muscle and the anger, and show his anger when he needs to. And Violet, the regal purple, and being one of my favorite characters from the Sentai, the Violet Monarch Zord, because Butterfly Zord doesn't sound so amazing. So having Monarch, which is a type of butterfly, and plus, come on, if this guy can use the name Monarch and sound threatening, so can a Power Ranger. Going for a more quiet personality to kind of balance out the big personalities of the other Rangers, being a nature-loving florist. Someone who loves to take her time and have things precise, but also have her be highly intelligent. And kind of later on, it's understood why, like, she's super intelligent. Why does she do something as simple as being a florist? She could do so many other things with her intelligence. And it kind of goes a little bit more to backstory and everything in that aspect. And we wait about a couple, like, 5 to 7 episodes before Black and Violet decide to fully trust the new Red Ranger as their leader. So he has to prove himself to them before they reveal who they are, and they become more friends later on. One thing that we got also was a evil ranger that I had a hard time coming up with the concept of this, because the evil ranger doesn't really join until later on near the end. But I think this one could be completely staying evil. Gray, which is a gray version of the red Kuwaga. So it's basically the same thing, just one more spike on the horns and a gray color. It's got to be the original guy who tried to pull out the sword, and the Rangers thought he was going to be the leader. Obviously, seeing that the kid is now a ranger and saving the world, sees the Rangers after a battle and tries to show up Red, saying that he's stronger, he's more mature than you. And obviously, once in a while, the Red Ranger will kind of act like it's a game, defeating the monsters and everything. Obviously, he takes it seriously, but it's a way for him, like, to fully kind of get in the zone, you know? Like, he knows it's serious, but because of his age, he sees it, he's the way he goes about it is thinking of it like a game for him to get into the zone so he can act on his full instincts. But obviously the Rangers tell him that obviously he's not fit for the job, and that's why the Sword didn't choose him. So the main villains of it kind of see this and copy the technology of the Sword to create a copy of it, and basically take the guy and basically manipulate him into saying that you could be the hero if they weren't around. So what they do is they send out some of the monsters against some people. He comes in and transforms and defeats them in order to become the hero. So kind of like Syndrome, creating the problem to seem like the hero to everyone else. And because there was so much deception going on in Kingohger that it was so much of it deception. So I think doing it this way gives the Rangers a new threat to fight. And it's not like he's brainwashed or anything. He's actively doing this because it's one of those things where joining the winning side and everything, and he gets the benefits of acting the hero. Especially since another monster will come out and distract the Rangers while he's taking care of the small fries, but he still ends up looking like the hero, and the Rangers were too late. Going as far as putting people in danger in more dangerous ways in order to appear more heroic. And now the Extra Ranger, which I do love this. Like I said, the ancient evil that is sealed away has been leeching its evil essence throughout the world during its long sleep. And the longer it did, that's where the insectoids would rise up, the worm general, and also a second character of the evil generals, a spider woman who, guys, if you know Monster Musume, if you think that spider was Spider Waifu, god damn. Now here's the twist in this one. Her son, after falling in love with a human, crossbreed, and that's what the White Ranger came to be for this one. But because we're not doing that mom storyline, like Full Mother, kind of like Necroli, have her be an evil general to the villains early on, give her more of a secret backstory where years before, like good number of years before the sword, the Rangers found all the swords were found and the Rangers were forming. The evil spider villain walked among the earth like in disguise as a human. And one day she saw a child almost get hit by a car or falling buildings because as the evil leached in, some of the monsters were slowly arising. You know, getting the generals ready in order to inspect the world before the evil has arisen to kind of gain intelligence on the human race. And despite her being evil, she saw that child being attacked, being about to get hurt, jumps in and saves the kid. And slowly, you know, it's kind of that whole orphan kid not having anyone aspect, but still being old enough to kind of take care of themselves a little bit. So they develop a bond, kind of a surrogate mother-child relationship. And even though she's evil, she still sees this as an experience to gain information on said humans. But to the time when she's called back into the fold of the generals, well, she can't betray the ancient evil, but she also has grown attachment to this human that she helped. So, being the tech support of the villains, you know, being the ones to organize the monsters, organize the henchmen, and having her silk thread be the reason the monsters grow after being destroyed. She'll send out her silk. It will stitch the monsters back up with the evil essence and make them grow. Because I miss those aspects of Power Rangers. She creates a weapon for the child to master. Basically, it's a swords. It's a small dagger sword and a small mist aerosol-looking gun. So one day, the kid will have to decide whose team they're on, with the insectoids and the evil entity, or, if they so choose, to join the future defenders of Earth. This aspect could be the villain basically trusting the human to be loyal to her when the time has come, also to have kind of a spy in the Rangers. And that's where we get the White Tarantula, which also uses a centipede and a fly in order to have a shield and a saber mode. But the White Tarantula, oh my god, it's such a badass design, and having a spider Megazord, finally. Yeah, so I pretty much did all the Rangers. Let's see. So obviously all the monsters are insect-based. They'll all be like based on different arachnids and insects. while some of the more stronger monsters are released later as the evil entity senses that the Rangers have defeated a lot of its monsters, so it will create even stronger generals that will stay around for a while until they're fully defeated by the new power-ups. Speaking of the power-ups, they wasted a good opportunity in the Sentai to use these CGI weaponry in the armored suits. For the Kingohger beetle, it would be having the Kingohger pincers be attached to the arms as arm blades. For the dragonfly, to have the electronic wings spouting off in the back, allowing him to fly and dash towards his opponents. Kamakiri, having the mantises being used attached to the knees of the Yellow Ranger. That way when she's doing her breakdance moves, the blades can slice and dice as she's moving quickly. For the Wasp, a giant stinger would be on his back. I don't know why it's on his back, but again, a martial arts expert can use his back, like back throws and backdrops, to defeat the monsters, and the spike would just give him more power. And again, obviously Monarch would have her Monarch butterfly wings flying off to shoot up, to use her arrow gun, and to use the wings to make it go at high speeds. For the tarantula, arms obviously coming out of their back. These abilities came in so late in the Sentai, and they were barely ever used, especially considering that the regal golden form of Kingohger was done so fucking early during the show. And with the giant javelin spear weapon. Also, it was stolen a good number of times by the villains, and then stolen back. Yeah, it kind of took a lot to get these powers solidified. Also, for the main Megazord, the final is the giant castle transformed into a Hercules beetle. Also, what are the other insects? A kabuto, a scorpion, and a hopper, and a grasshopper. I think that's primarily all the extra Zords, because yeah, that's pretty much it for the Zords primarily. And I do love the look of these Zords. They are so interesting and are really, really well done. As for the second half of the series, once the Worm General is basically defeated and the Spider villain is thinking now that he's destroyed, maybe she can go back to her protege and be free of the evil entity. But the evil entity frees out one more threat. Obviously, having enough energy, it somewhat makes an appearance, but still in a chrysalis form. Ordering the spider villain to use a device to extract some energy out of the Rangers one by one. Obviously, she does this by sending out a new monster, to extract the energy in order to create the 5 generals that are needed throughout in the second half. Because obviously she will be transformed into a new monster later on, where White Ranger will have to finally defeat her because she's gone berserk and lost her sanity. Let's see. No, wait, I got this wrong. The first one will be based on, and because somewhat in the Sentai, each of these 5 generals took over the other Rangers' kingdom for a short period of time. Don't understand how that worked in anything, but it was good. So essence-wise, the first one would be extracted from red. I think I'm getting all these right. You know what? I'll put images of them. This one, who was a shapeshifter and a double spy for the insect villain and the final villain, he was basically one manipulating things from behind the scenes, which I did not see coming. Full disclosure, it was a good twist. Having him be more of the sadistic, strategic genius for the generals. And obviously the Rangers will have their own one-on-one fights in the end with these generals because they cause a lot of torment for each Ranger. This one will be Red's greatest challenge. Basically, it will use its psychological know-how in order to beat down Red, saying that you're only a kid amongst grown-ups. You don't have what it takes to... And that's when... And these fights are where the extra ability... No. That will be too easy. Where they get back their power and their strength. Because having episodes that kind of lead somewhere is something that Power Rangers did well. Until it was just Monster of the Week. And hidden plans were done in the background and not revealed until later. So kind of thinking like old school Power Rangers. How the episodes kind of go off of each other later on the line. This one, who is a ninja-themed monster, would definitely be the arch enemy of Black, being more stealth and strategy rather than feeling like brute force. This one, who looks like a giant husk, would definitely, being a brute, boisterous brute, would go up against Violet and her quiet demeanor and her precise thought process. This one, which is a leech kind of character, where her voice would have hypnotized people into doing her bidding, would go up against Blue. And this one, who's basically kind of like a Grim Reaper kind of character, would be up against Yellow, because it worked, because these are the ones that went up against each other in the Sentai, so I figured rework the story a little bit and make them more realistic. And then the main villain shows up, and this thing was like a god. Basically, whatever it wanted, it did. It caused wars among planets for its own amusement, using his generals to manipulate the societies in a way of starting a war just for his amusement and to decimate the entire infrastructure of the planet. This one, it will just become an evil entity, finally awakened, taking up a new form, and basically trying to take over the universe, starting basically using its evil essence and the insectoids to create an infestation throughout the universe so it can rule the entirety of the universe, starting with Earth. It's one of those villains, and I think it would be really, really cool. And that's it for this video, ladies and gentlemen. I know these ideas may seem a little all over the place, but hey, I got the ideas out. I'm really proud of these ideas. What do you guys think? Are my ideas off the mark? Are my ideas very interesting for Power Rangers? And I don't know if we'll ever get Power Rangers again, but my ideas won't stop. Thank you for joining me, ladies and gentlemen. Summer is just beginning. Like, comment, subscribe down below, and join me next week where E is back in the Game Hub, as we're going to take on a new idea video on a game that's coming out later in the year, as we head off into the Pokemon world and see what our ideas are like. And we're going from A to Z. No, wait, that's reversed. Either way, this is Gamer K, logging out.